All right, guys, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk specifically about the Reformation in England. Now, I know as of yesterday, you guys did a few of the things with the textbook page and the 5 questions. So some of this is going to sound familiar, but it really does take a little bit of a conversation to get into the juicy details of what's going to happen. Okay. The one thing I'm going to tell you is I wouldn't do anything with your notebook yet, pretty much until the end, or I'll kind of explain it at the end, because what we're going to do is we're going to start with this title and we're going to work through these 3 bullet points using all this stuff floating around over here. Okay, so by the end in your notebook, you're going to want to do all the stuff that's up here. We're going to make sure that we explain the relationship between all these people, the terms in yellow that are floating around down here, and how the Reformation in England played out. Now let's just start with this. The Reformation in England is different from all the other Reformation of Europe because this one really doesn't have a lot to do at all with religion. The other ones had to do with breaking away from the Catholic Church for religious purposes, but this one is not really about religion at all. Okay, so let's start this off. So what we're going to do down here on this green line is we're going to create a sequence to put all this stuff onto, which you're going to do similarly in your notebook. All right. So let me start with the main guy here, who is King Henry VIII. All right. The big thing about King Henry VIII, and you might have read into this yesterday, but he has his first wife, Catherine, who I'll pull over here, and they have one daughter named Mary, who I'll put down here. But Catherine is having a lot of trouble having a male heir, or what we would call today a boy. And King Henry VIII really wants her to have a boy. He really wants to have a son because that is the only way that his line is going to continue in being king. So if he doesn't have a son, his family cannot continue to be king of England. Okay? So basically, this is their relationship. His wife here, they have the daughter Mary together, but she's not really having success having a boy, having a son. All right. So eventually, Henry meets this other lady named Anne Boleyn. And he starts to fall in love with her, and he figures, you know what? I'm going to, kind of end this marriage over here. So this is where we pull in the first yellow term. He wants to have an annulment, what we would call today a divorce, pretty much. So he wants to get an annulment from Catherine so that he can get married to Anne Boleyn. Now, I'm going to pull the other guy into this, who is the Pope of that time, and his name is Pope Clement the Seventh. Okay, so I'm going to put him on the sequence line here. I'm going to move Anne over for a second. And Pope Clement pretty much says no. He does not want Henry VIII and Catherine to have an annulment, and it's majorly because of this right here, which you might have recognized from yesterday. Okay, Catherine's parents are King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Now, you might have heard their names before because they are actually the two people in Spain who give Christopher Columbus the money to go explore the New World. So they're kind of well known for that, but that's actually Catherine's mom and dad. So I'm going to put them over here real quick. And Pope Clement, because he knew that Ferdinand and Isabella were very powerful over in Spain, did not want to grant the annulment. So obviously King Henry is not really excited about that. So he decides to have an annulment anyway. So he decides to do what he wants and get a divorce from Catherine. And that is going to lead Pope Clement to excommunicate Henry VIII from the church. So I'll put excommunicated in the middle here. So what excommunicated means basically is that he is officially kicked out of the church. He is kicked out of the Catholic Church. Now you might assume at this point that he's not really going to care that much because he was doing what he wanted to anyway. And you would be right. Okay, he gets excommunicated from the Catholic Church. He doesn't really care that much. Okay, I'm going to move Catherine down here next to her daughter. And I'm going to just move Anne Boleyn over here because he gets with Anne Boleyn anyway. He kind of did what he wanted anyway. All right. Now, later on, you're going to see these two terms way over here. All right, you have the act of supremacy and the word Anglican. Well, when Henry VIII breaks off of the Catholic Church, he decides to make his own church, and that's known as the Anglican or the Church of England. Okay, they kind of get the term England and Anglican doubled up. So he is now the head of the Anglican Church, the Church of England. Okay, and they also pass what's known as the Act of Supremacy. Okay, so I'll move these guys way over here. The Act of Supremacy is pretty much giving King Henry VIII to be the head of the church in his own mind, as well as the country of England. So that's pretty much what he does. Now, up here at the top, you see the relationship between these people, which we've kind of explained all that. Obviously, you can go back and get all the bells and whistles of that. The terms. The terms are anything in yellow. I want you guys somewhere on your notebook page to explain all these terms in yellow, maybe on the line itself or in a separate box, however you want to do it. And how the Reformation in England played out is pretty much this right here. Okay, so Pope Clement is over here, and he's going to be still the head of the Catholic Church for everybody else. But King Henry is now going to be the head of the Anglican Church. Because of this act of supremacy, he has now become his own pope, so to speak, and he's also still his own king. So that's how the Reformation in England pretty much plays out. There's a split right down the middle that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with religion. Now, this is the juicy part. This is the fun fact about the rest of King Henry VIII's wives. And you don't have to really write a whole bunch of stuff about this, but I just wanted to show you real quick how some of this plays out. Okay, so just for funsies, this is his first wife, who we just said he got a divorce from. This is Anne Boleyn, who we said he fell in love with and eventually, wanted to have a son. But that doesn't work out for him either. So eventually he has her beheaded. I know, nice guy. All right, then he falls in love with another lady named Jane Seymour, and she actually dies, which is unfortunate. Then he meets another girl named Anne of Cleves, who's of other nobility. Didn't really like her too much, divorced her, falls in love with another person, Catherine Howard, beheaded. Uh-oh, no fun there. And last but not least, by the time of his death, he had already remarried another lady named Catherine, and he dies, she survives. Okay, so she's his last wife up until his death, so to speak. So if you notice here, we got 2 divorces, 2 beheadings, she died, she survived, and we have a Catherine and a Catherine and an Anne and an Anne and another Catherine and all kinds of crazy business. All right, so I'm going to tuck these ladies up into the corner. All right. And last but not least here, like I said, in your notebook, what you guys need to do is go back and lay this thing out however you want it. Okay, if you want to put them back in the order that I started with and have the wife here and put all the names in the order that you want, you can do all that stuff. Okay, but again, just to step aside here, you need to know what all the yellow terms mean. Again, write them where you want to write them. If you want to float them into the timeline where I did, that's fine. Or you can just have a little terms box somewhere over on the side. Okay? And the same thing with the people. You need to remember what these people were or what their relationship was or how they were connected. So I'm going to leave this kind of like this as a general kind of screenshot for a lot of people or a starting point. But that's the job. Okay? So again, we've talked about how the Reformation in England was different from all the other places. We've talked about the relationship between all these people. We got into all the terms, all these yellow terms down here and how they fit into the story. And we got into how the Reformation in England pretty much plays out, which is King Henry VIII on this side and Pope Clement way over here still being the head of the Catholic Church. Now, I know that seemed a lot complicated or a lot of bells and whistles again, a lot of different things going on. But that's very unique to the Reformation in England, which is different from all the other ones. Okay, so in the next couple days, we're going to continue this conversation about the Reformation. And then pretty soon here, guys, we're going to be wrapping this up. And I'll talk to you all about that later, about, how we're going to do a quiz or a test or anything like that to wrap the unit up. But hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully everybody's staying healthy. And again, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.